Our next two sections, or objectives in Chapter 5, is objectives 91, 92. These are called stem and leaf plots. So we're going to start out with our terms. For a stem and leaf plot, it's a special table where each data value is split into a leaf, usually the last digit, and a stem, which is the other digit, which would probably be the first digit. So a couple different things about that is the stem values are listed down and the leaf values go right or to the left, so you could either do it one or the other way. I've mostly seen them to the right, so that's kind of the common way that you'll see them in here, from the stem values. The other thing is the stem is used to group the scores, and each leaf indicates individual scores within each group. Now that may sound confusing, but we'll show you a couple examples and you'll be able to see this. This is something that you've probably been doing for a couple years in math classes, and it's a way of organizing data in charts to make it a little bit easier to work with. So our first example. So we have our data set and we've listed it, and most of the time you don't get them in order. I made it a little bit easier. I put them in order for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to break these numbers up into a stem and leaf chart. So the stem and leaf chart looks like this. So the stem is on the left hand side, and that is generally the first number, 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. So that's your tens in this case. The leaf is your one digits. So if you have more than one of the ones and tens, you're going to have those two numbers. So here's 15 and 16, 5 and 6. Here's our 20s. So here's the 2, that stands for the 20s. And then you have the 1, the 3s, the 6s. And then the 30s, the 40s. So the way that you do this is the first number is generally the stem. The second number is the leaf. So that's how we split 32. So 3 and the 2. So if you think about this as numbers, if you were to write them down the paper, if they were different tens, like 10, 20, 30s, 40s, 50s, you really could take the numbers and split them right down the middle, and you'd already have your stem and leaf plot given. The problem is you're not going to have that. That's the issue. So that's the organizational part that comes into this. But usually the left-hand side is the stem, right-hand side is the leaf. Now, we're going to take the last section and throw it into here because we're going to find mean, median, mode, range using these data charts. And again, it's just another way of showing the same data that we had in the last sections. So if we could bring back those numbers, this is how they would look in your organizational. So find the mean. So again, our data plot is here. So we have 12, we have 13, we have 20, we have 21, 25, 25, 28, and so forth down the chart all the way down to 98. So again, the stem here is the first number, the leaf is the second number in our numbers. So how do we find the mean? Well, remember the mean was the average. So the step is, number one, add up all the numbers. So you're going to take all of these numbers in here, you're going to add them up. Second is divide by how many that you have. So how many of these numbers in the chart do you have to do that? So the total sum, if we add all this up, came up to be 1,264. There's a total of 25 numbers in this data set. So we would take 1,264 divided by 25, and your answer would be, for the average, 50.56. Now, depending on the directions, they may ask you to round it to the nearest whole number, round it to the nearest tenth. That's up to them in the directions of the problem. But that's how you find the mean. For the median, middle. So again, we have our data plots, 10, 11, 11, and so forth. So steps in this one are, first thing is, put everything in order. Now, if you look at this, it's already in order. The problem is it looks weird because you don't see all the individual numbers. You see a bunch here and then a whole bunch over here. So you're probably going to have to write them out. Now, granted, I gave you a little bit more than probably what you're going to get on your assignment, but I wanted to make the point of getting this taken care of. Second, count from each end, cross out as you work in. So like we did in the other ones, we're crossing out here and we're working our way to that middle number. Rule again is if you have an odd number of data points, that number will automatically be in the middle. So if you have an odd number, if you count up and get 31 of them, you're going to have the one right in the middle. If it's even, you're going to find that there's two middle numbers. Those two, you have to add them up, divide by 2 to find the average of them. So we did. We had an even number of data points here, so our middle numbers were 33 and 36. So we added them up, divided by 2. So the middle number in this case is 34.5. That's how you'd find the median. So again, using your chart and using it well in the organizational part to get to where you need to go. Finding the mode, again, we have our data points in our stem and leaf graph. Steps for this one is simply just one of them. Look for the one that shows up the most. Remember, mode is the one that shows up the most frequently. So in this case, our number that shows up the most is 54. So it shows up 3 times. So that's our answer for 54. So in mode, that's kind of the easy one, because you just look over in the leaf part and say, okay, which number shows up the many times? Match it up with the stem, and you've got yourself your answer. Same with range, which is our last section. Finding the range, again with our data points. Steps in this, there's just 3 of them. Basically, 1, find the large number. 2, find the small number. Then subtract the 2. So what you have is 56 minus 11, which gives you 45. And 45 comes out to be the range for that data set. So again, small, large, subtract the 2 in a positive way. That's your range. So again, we're tying in what we did in the first section of this chapter 5 into this part, looking at a different way of organizing the data. The next 2 videos that you're going to watch after this are going to be not from me. I'm going to kind of give myself, or give you guys a break from me and let you listen to some other people talk about different parts of this chapter, and then we'll finish up this chapter. This chapter should go fairly simple. It's not too much of difficulty, but give it a good shot and you'll do well in it and get good grades in this part. So there you go.